Hello, everyone. This is Monica. I hope you all had an amazing week this week. And this time, I'm going to read the full chapter in this particular book. I was led to in prayer, and that's Ruth 1. Chapter 1 says, "In the days when the judges ruled, there was a famine in the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah, together with his wife and 2 sons, went to live for a while in the country of Moab. The man's name was Elimelech. His wife's name was Naomi, and the names of his sons were Melon and Kilion. They were Ephrates from Bethlehem, Judah, and they went to Moab and lived there. Now Elimelech, Naomi's husband, died, and she was left with 2 sons. They married Moabite women, one named Orpah and the other Ruth. After they lived there about 10 years, both Mahlon and Kilion also died, and Naomi was left without her 2 sons and her husband. Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had come to the aid of his people by providing food for them. She and her daughter-in-laws prepared to return home from there. With her 2 daughter-in-laws, she left the place where she had been living and set out on the road that would take them back to the land of Judah. Then Naomi said to her 2 daughter-in-laws, 'Go back, each of you, to your mother's house. May the Lord show you kindness as you've shown kindness to your dead husbands and to me. May the Lord grant that each of you find rest in the home of another husband.' Then she kissed them goodbye, and they wept aloud. And she said to her, 'We go back with you to your people.' But Naomi said, 'Return home, my daughters. Why would you come with me? Am I going to have any more sons who could become your husbands? Return home, my daughters. I am too old to have another husband. Even if I thought there was still hope for me, even if I had a husband tonight and then gave birth to sons, would you wait until they grew up? Would you remain unmarried for them? No, my daughters, it is more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord has turned against me.' At this, they wept aloud again. Then Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye, but Ruth clung to her. 'Look,' said Naomi, 'your sister-in-law is going back to her people and her gods. Go back with her.' But Ruth replied, 'Don't urge me to leave you or to turn back from you. Where you go, I go. Where you stay, I will stay. Your people will be my people and your God, my God. Where you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord deal with me, but it ever so severely, if even death separates you and me.' When Naomi realized that Ruth was determined to go back with her, she stopped urging her. So the 2 women went on until they came to Bethlehem. When they arrived in Bethlehem, the whole town was stirred because of them, and the women exclaimed, 'Can this be Naomi?' 'Don't call me Naomi,' she told them. 'Call me Mara, because the Almighty has made my life very bitter. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me back empty. Why call me Naomi? The Lord has afflicted me with the Almighty has brought misfortune upon me.' So Naomi returned to Moab and So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by Ruth the Moabite, who was her daughter-in-law, arriving in Bethlehem as the barley harvest was beginning. Now, what stands out to me the most is during the hardest moments of our lives and what we experience that could make us bitter, there's a key moment in our lives where no matter what we're going through, we can stay in that bitter moment, or we can choose to get ourselves out of it. Now, if you've listened to any of my other YouTube videos, you see that for me, I encourage you to try to dig yourself out of, not on your own, obviously, but through prayer and praise and worship. Now, that's not easy to do at all when you're going through the type of hardships that Naomi found herself in, to the point where she changed her name to Mara. Mara means bitter. And I looked the word up. Bitter is a very strong word. Basically, bitter describes a person that is in deep sorrow. They're going through the most, obviously what takes us there is the most unpleasant circumstances. Just hers specifically was death. For us humans, you can't come back from that. It's a permanence as far as humans are concerned. So it would make sense to feel bitter. But in the Bible, it states that there's a time for mourning. I believe there would be a time for not just mourning, but a time for bitterness and experience bitterness. The reason why I say that is because when we go through hardships and we know the pain is real, and the pain is something that time, and if we're wise enough, God giving it to him, handing it over to him, stating all that you're going through to him. That's what I do. I give it all to him. And then there's times where I, myself have given it to him in ways that I need to be more careful even how I word what I give to him, because I get that hurt, that anger. And when bitterness takes over, you don't know where you can go as far as like the words you choose, the actions you choose. So it's like you got to be careful even being in that energy of bitterness, because you want to stay mindful of the presence of God, so that even when you're in that energy of bitterness and you're going to him, you can still find your way back to the humbleness. And that's not easy. But I encourage you all to read the word, like, being able to see how Naomi made it out of that moment, because she did. I believe that it was because of her going back to her land where, of God, that's his people, and Ruth went with her, and the loyalty of Ruth being behind her and standing by her and not leaving her side and saying, your God's my God. That means her loyalty was to God. And because of that blessing of having that loyalty to God, gave her, meaning Naomi, that encouragement and strength that she needed. So again, I encourage you to go to like-minded Christians and group activities at church. Go to church, get that encouragement that you need through other people. The same as like this channel. If there's people out there encouraging you to go past and get beyond your circumstances, so you don't sit in the bitterness, that's the objective. Because when you choose to be proactive beyond the pain and bitterness and lean on that faith, you're leaning on the hope of knowing that God's going to get you out of it. God's going to get you through it. And it may not look like he can, but that's what faith is. As I said in the past, in my other videos, that's when the true faith is being built in you. Your character is being built. And just imagine, through the hardest moments, the biggest moments that can make you permanently bitter, you rise above that with God and your faith. Imagine what's on the other side. Because in the end, Naomi brought forth the lineage of Jesus Christ through Ruth. And there's nothing bigger than that. That's the biggest miracle. So if we can hold on, I'm not saying, we may have that lineage or that kind of huge miraculous outcome, But know that beyond those circumstances, if we get past the hurt, the pain, and even the bitterness, there's blessings on the other side. God is always there. And how else can he show us who he is if we're not in those moments to at that point, like where Naomi was, she had nothing left. Only God could take her to the other side. And I encourage you all to just read the rest of Ruth. It's a blessing, truly a blessing. The story, it's a story of loyalty, especially coming from Ruth, and resilience, and God truly coming through and helping them. So I hope this message has been encouraging to you all, and God bless you. And again, you guys are all in my prayers, and God bless you.